My name is Pedro. I work at Airbyte as an engineer. And today we're going to talk about our connector factory. So Airbyte is an open source data infrastructure company. And in short, we help data teams and AI agents connect to all the places where their data lives. And what this really means is, hey, we build and maintain a lot of connectors. Because what good would an integration platform be if we don't connect to all those different places where your data's at? Right? And so we have over 600 replication connectors, over 50 connectors that are optimized for getting that data into the AI agents. And all of this continues to grow very quickly. And so each of these little integrations is its own kind of living organism. Right? There are upstream API changes, deprecations, the schemas of the responses of those integrations we deal with changes all the time. And not to mention kind of bug reports from our users or like new feature requests for things that people want to do with these connectors. And so that's a lot to deal with for the hundreds of integrations that we manage. And so naturally we asked ourselves, can we get an agent to help build and maintain all of these connectors for us? And so the end goal of this being, could we build an automated connector factory where there's a reliable process that can build new connectors and help take on the ongoing maintenance of all the existing connectors that we have, especially those repetitive tasks like dealing with API changes that occur upstream. And so today I'll walk through how we build a new connector through this process, because that kind of covers the full pipeline. But the same process applies as well for the maintenance of all these things. And so hopefully you can take some of these lessons to build something like this for yourself. So the first step is like defining what artifact are we producing, or what is the output product of our factory. And so for us, we didn't set out to build a general purpose kind of coding agent. We were very narrowly focused on, hey, we're building connectors here. And so for us, that means producing this declarative connector definition that we have. It's a format that's kind of like an OpenAPI spec, but it's enhanced with Airbyte-specific annotations, describes all the things that the connector supports, how to authenticate, how to paginate the different pages of the API. And then we have an SDK that interprets that YAML and actually runs it. And so this comes from the fact that this maintenance problem isn't new to us. Right? Years back, we realized if all hundreds of connectors that we have are these unique little snowflakes that have unique ways of doing very similar things, well, then the maintenance problem kind of is exponential there. And so we standardize across a basic format, and that is what we are building with our factory. And that helps with agents because it constrains the output of what we expect. It also lets us add guardrails around that process. And so the naive thing that you do as you embark on this is you reach out for Claude Code. Hey, we have all of these existing connectors that we've built. Now go build me a new one. Build Stripe for me. And so this kind of works, but it falls down pretty quickly. Right? And we can categorize the kinds of things we see in three different groups. One is all about missing knowledge. So the agent is going to try to search for documentation, but it can miss important information or run into some undocumented cases from these APIs. And it can have missing knowledge about even our own kind of connector format. Two is confronting reality. So even if you do have documentation, a lot of times that documentation is wrong or it's out of date. And so if the agent doesn't have those feedback loops in place, it's just not going to come out with the right solution. And then third is accountability. So you tell the agent to do something, it goes off and writes its own to-do list, and comes back with a summary of all the things it did, and it'll say, yes, I did all the things you told me to. But then when you really analyze that and look at the output, you realize, well, it did some of those things, but then it missed a ton of stuff. And that comes back to the agent kind of declaring its own completion without anything external to hold it to some additional standards. And so given those things that we are seeing, how do you actually have a system that builds connectors that work? And iterating on this process, we arrive at kind of the assembly line of our factory that's kind of broken down into some phases. One is discovery, then our build and test loop, and then acceptance. And we'll get into those in some more detail. What I will call out here is this toolkit. So there's, MCP, people debate on MCP, but for us, it really serves as a good foundation for our process because we can kind of have all of the prompts and all the tools that are used throughout the process in this packaged little toolkit. And we'll see more about what's in there as we go along. So discovery and research. If you remember the knowledge gaps problem, the agent just not knowing enough about the API or missing some information, that's all about kind of managing your context. And so the first step in producing a connector that works is building a good understanding of what exactly needs to be done. And that's what this discovery phase kind of addresses. And so as part of this, it searches for things like, how do you authenticate with this API that we're implementing? How does pagination work and things like that. On the right, it's like an example of a summary of that discovery process. And we present that to the user after we're gathering all these things so that we can confirm, hey, yes, this is what we want to do. And nowadays, based on like iterations we've done with the prompt, it usually, it's pretty good at getting all these things. But we still present that because a wrong discovery or a wrong plan in the start of the process kind of can trickle down and, to the further steps of the process and have some effects there. So it's important to get this part right. And so then most of the time of the build is spent in this build and test loop. The build itself is pretty straightforward. We're just adding support for all the things that we identified in the previous phase that we want to build. But building without the feedback loops is really flying blind, right? And so the agent needs to be able to run its work against the real world to come up with the correct solution. And so we paired build and test together in a tight loop. And there's two kinds of testing that we do here. One is in the camp of just providing more feedback to the agent. And so the agent should be able to run the thing it's building and see the outputs. And two is more along the validation. So a set of checks that we define that the agent has to pass for us to consider the connector to be built. And so on the feedback side, specifically in our process, this is what addresses that reality check problem that I talked about initially. And we exposed this tool that we called record cassette that is really the main source of feedback here. And what this does is, it runs the connector through our SDK, and you see if there's any issues, compatibility there, you see that immediately. And then two, it returns a result and any errors from calling those APIs. That's also feedback. And then three, if you're familiar with this cassette concept, or the VCR pattern, is this pattern where when you're testing a system that makes API calls or calls to external services, while you run the system, you record all the API interactions or all the requests and responses, and you store that in a file as the raw requests. And so when it comes to testing that, then you just play back those cassettes that you've recorded so you don't make API calls to the live services. And so for us, that ensures that the agent, aside from getting the output of running our connector, it is also able to inspect those cassettes to get the raw API requests and responses, and that's more feedback it has to be able to tweak the connector that it's building to make sure that it comes out with a correct implementation. This has another benefit for us as well, is that the same tool that the agent is doing, that's recording these cassettes, leaves behind this traceable artifact that the agent actually tested everything against a live API. And so because of there's this trace left behind, we can also put some more guardrails around that as well. And that leads us to the validation. So this is all about that accountability problem. On the validation side, we have what we call readiness checks. And these are conditions that have to pass for us to consider a connector to be built. And this is where a lot of our iteration has actually gone. Every time that we see an output where the agent comes up with a wrong answer or something that we don't expect, that comes back and is encoded as specific readiness checks so that it doesn't happen again. And so these kinds of checks that we have can be broken down into two. One is more completeness-related checks. So was everything that we set out to implement actually implemented? And then using those traces from the cassettes that we talked about before, has all of these entities and actions actually been tested? Have we tested all of the authentication methods that we support using those traces? And we started defining this as part of the prompt, where make sure that you record cassettes for everything that you implement. But what we saw was it would record them sometimes, and then you go and look at what it did. It turns out it ran into some kind of issue when recording one of them, reached a rate limit or something like that, and then it just kind of carried on and didn't record the rest. And so what we do is really encode these as in code. These are declarative or objective checks that we include in the process that ensures that the agent isn't really like making up its own kind of completion criteria. And so what's important here is because these are in code, these are implemented actually as part of our MCP toolkit as a tool, run readiness validation. And because it's separate from what the agent is doing, it means there's kind of a trust boundary there where we know that the agent cannot modify those checks in order to get a passing build. It has to modify the connector itself. And so that means that if you can trust these checks that you've put in place, you can trust that the agent isn't able to modify those checks to get it to pass automatically. Well, then that means that the output that you get at the end of it is something that you have more confidence in and that you can trust as well. So in acceptance, at this point we have a connector that works, but that doesn't mean that it actually solves the problem that you set out to solve initially, right? It becomes, the question becomes, how do you test against the actual intent of a change or of a connector that we build? So for us, when we're building these kind of agent connectors, the purpose of these connectors is really to be able to plug them into agents so that users can ask questions about their data. And so that's exactly what we test. We define a list of what we call golden questions, or things that we can expect a user to reasonably ask of a connector. And so as part of our testing process, we do automated tests that verify that those can actually be answered. You might have heard this actually called like scenario testing as well. It's very similar. And so an example of this is for Stripe, show me my top 10 customers by total revenue this month is an example that someone using a Stripe connector should be able to answer, right? And so we put the connector through this process, give it to an agent, and make sure that it can answer those things. And we do that as well through this structured process. And so that leaves behind a trace of these were the questions that we asked, these were the responses that the agent came up with, and this is the tools that it took to get there. If the agent can't answer one of these questions, then that's a gap that we identify and we send it back to the build process. And that trace that leaves behind, aside from this process being a good validation that you've actually built a good connector, it also helps on the review side. So you might have seen this pattern recently where, especially in the front-end world, when you're asking an agent to make changes, the agent also records a video of the changes and posts that as part of the PR as an artifact that makes it easier for the humans to actually review those changes as well. And golden questions for us also serves a similar purpose. So as part of every pull request that touches a connector, we post this like overview comment, gets a recap of what's going on. Those connectors can be pretty long. And so we distill that into something that's a little more reviewable. And so as part of that, we include the example questions and responses that the agent came up with. And that's our version of kind of a front-end recording that proves that the connector is actually doing what we expect. And so once we have this process working for a single connector at a time, the question then becomes, how do you scale this to operate a little more autonomously? And we started by running things locally with Claude Code, plug our MCP toolkit in there, and ask it to build some connectors. And that provides some fast iteration on the tools and the prompts, but a human engineer at that point is still babysitting, and you need to keep your laptop open. And so our next step is to give this toolkit and prompts to Devin, which is a general pre-built background agent that's general purpose. And that lets us move to handing off these connector builds to run in the background, free someone's laptop, right? And it works well for a while, but we wanted at some point a little more control over that process. And we started reaching for something a little more custom. That's what we're trying out now with some custom agents and orchestration workflows. It gives us a little more control over what the agent does and how we move through these different phases. For example, making sure that the golden question validation phase happens in its own session that's isolated, or tweaking the model a bit more. It's these knobs that we want to be able to optimize. And so we're trying out our own kind of background agents now. Ours is based on this ramp inspect thing that you might have seen a blog post on, and why we built our own background agent. It's really cool. But this topic is a whole talk on its own. So what I'll call out, though, is that you can start local and kind of graduate to something more autonomous as you go along. And each graduation in the next stage is really only possible when those validation layers and checks that you have in place are trustworthy enough that you feel confident in letting go of more control. And so we asked ourselves at the start of this, can we get an agent to help build and maintain these connectors? And for us, the answer became yes, as long as you build those those verification layers that makes the output really trustworthy. And it's those trust boundaries and those constant checks that really makes you confident about shipping this. And so if you were to build your own factory, these are like the couple things I would suggest based on this. One is try to constrain your problem, right? Define your artifact and narrow that scope. Those constraints really lead the way to kind of more deterministic checks and have your goals clear on what you're doing. Two is giving the agent the right tight feedback loops. So let it run its work against the real world, see what breaks, and iterate. And documentation here is really unreliable, so make sure you're seeing the actual responses. And three, build verification that the agent can't game. So turn those expectations into checks that you have in code, and try to get them outside of the agent's control. So you can make sure that it's not messing with those checks, making up tests that it is able to influence and do return trues on them, things like that. And also validate against user intent. Once you have that evidence, you can use that to start letting go of control. And that's really what turns this whole process into a factory. That's all I have. Thank you so much.